And welcome to another edition of Footnotes. Pastor Mark here, and today I'm joined with Pastor Brady, our Associate Pastor of Connections, who is joining me today to talk about something that we're about to begin, hopefully continue, and see success with. That is the issue of home groups. So if you've heard us say this term, you want to know what it is, why we're doing it, and how it's going to look, this podcast hopefully will serve and help and minister to you. So let's get into it. So Brady, hello. It's been a while.
It has been.
Yes, since we've had you in here.
Yeah.
And that's because you committed podcast sin.
Oh.
And we put you in podcast purgatory.
Oh, no.
Yeah, what did he do, Timothy? I don't know. I thought you would have an answer. Oh, you used the bleep button too much.
Was it when we were all sick and I coughed too many times, one too many times?
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I made all that up.
Oh.
I have no idea. You weren't in podcast purgatory, although that is a good term, Timothy.
Yeah.
Can we invent that? So we're talking today about home groups, Brady. Glad to have you back.
Yeah.
We want to cover three areas today. Where are we currently on the process of A to F? Many of our people may have forgotten what is A to F. We try to keep it in front of everyone. There's banners, there's coffee cups. We try to mention it. I think personally, the new people coming in hear it more than the body because we say it in our new member class. We're very intentional there to talk about the process. So people in the membership might say, oh, yeah, I remember you rolling that out back in January, and I remember you did an 8-week preaching series on it, but what is A to F?
Yeah, A to F is our process, right? We want to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. We want to move people, right, so that we're actually growing in our faith. And so, if you remember, A is for attending. That's the first step for anything, is being here physically, hopefully mentally, spiritually, emotionally as well. But to be here in the church, right, to be part of the...
And there's things that we do, obviously, to try to get people to attend.
Yeah.
So whether it's like the presentation of the word or whether it's Fall Fest, I mean, that gets people on campus. There's other things that we try to do to encourage attendance.
Yeah, so outreach events would maybe fall under A, things we're trying to get people to come here and attend, like the Fall Fest or the Word. So that's kind of the first step, getting people here that know that we know that we're here, our website. So once they attend, we want to move them to the next step, which is B for Beginning at Broadway, our new members kind of class for people to get to learn more about who we are as a church, what we believe, where we're going, where they fit in, and what we're about. And so that's kind of the next step as a person goes from being just kind of a visitor to, hey, I'm going to go to this class for 4 sessions, 4 weeks, and learn more about the church.
And the reason we do that, and I'm trying to just explain and go a little bit slower here, is because we also notice as pastors that there's many people that just attend. They never get past attending Broadway. So intentionally, to shepherd them, we want more for them. So to put that into words, we say, hey, how about you go through this Beginning at Broadway class? It's the next step. I mean, any Sunday, there's a lot of people just attending.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably right now name about 5 or 6 families that have consistently come, on and off for 2 or 3 months, but they really haven't gone past A. And so any member who thinks, well, what's the point of saying attending? Well, there's actually a lot of people that only stay there, and we're trying to make a distinction. If that is the only place you stay, you haven't really gone very far in the process. Your growth is not, maturing.
Stunted.
Yeah. So that's why we say, look, if they said, what do I do? Well, the next obvious clear step is go to the Beginning at Broadway class. And we always say this, it's a come and see. It's not a, if I come, I'm a member.
That's right.
And there's complete confusion about that. We never seem to get over that. People say, well, I went to the class. Well, but there's a process in the class, and we explain it on the first day, and it's in the book. And so we say, go to the Beginning at Broadway class, learn what it takes to become a member, and then make a decision, which is letter C.
Yes. Right. C is covenant community. Right. That's where you've met with a pastor. They've heard your testimony. You've been presented to the church. You're now have joined the church. You are a official bona fide church member. You're part of C, covenant community. So you are actually part of the church now.
And you have made a clear determination and decision, just like when you get married. I'm making a covenant with my wife or husband, if you are a woman. You're doing the same thing with church. I mean, in church, you're saying, I am intentionally making this my church family.
Yes.
So I'm not just going to attend and be here, maybe, kind of, sort of. I'm not just going to go to the class and go, okay, that was interesting. No, I'm going to finally stop dating the church.
That's right.
And I'm going to come to this place where I am committed.
Yes, commitment.
And that's C. And when they get into C, we really push, because you're now in covenant with us, you need to be in community with us.
That's right. And so the primary way right now we're enjoying community is through Sunday school classes. So Sunday mornings, from 9 to 10, there's different Sunday school classes, and that's where we're supposed to, kind of connect. That's where the opportunity is to get to know other people and build relationships, to be centered around Christ and the Word. Some are more discussion-based, some are more lecture-based and kind of more teaching-heavy. But it's a place to connect, and where people usually come, historically in our context, people come and may visit during the worship service, but they all may come and kind of come once they're joined the church and are members during the Sunday school hour, and to kind of go deeper. And so it's an opportunity where during the service, there maybe isn't a lot of time to connect. During Sunday school, you kind of in a smaller group, you can kind of connect and get to know other members better.
Now, just quickly, the rest of the letters, D, E, and F. D is for discipleship. And we have discipleship groups of men and discipleship groups of women that meet throughout the city at various times throughout the week.
And different content.
Yeah. Right. Some meet at a restaurant, some meet at a house. It just depends. So if you want D and you want discipleship with other men or other women, there's that avenue. And then there's E, which we're in the process of developing, which is equipping. And we're about to start, and maybe we can do a podcast on this later.
Yeah.
We're about to start in January equipping classes, which are all centered around one thing: how to blank. So it's not going to be a study of Galatians. Not that that's good, but we already have that. So, for example, a Sunday school class is currently studying through Galatians. That's their purpose. That's what they do. So, we're not going to study through the Gospel of John. That's what we do on Sunday morning, expositorily preaching. These are going to be how to share your faith, how to parent your kids, how to manage your money, how to lead a small group, we're just going to how to walk with God, how to understand the Scripture. So these are going to be equipping classes, how to counsel, so that a member in the body says, okay, I feel like I've been trained to be fruitful in an area. I have to go do something with my gift.
And a skill and ability to do practice.
So we're going to move to that on Wednesday nights in January 2024. So we're going to offer 3 classes at a time. So you'll eat the meal, and then you'll split up to what class you want to be equipped in if you come.
Yep.
And that'll be unique, and it'll be different. And then F is fruitfulness, which is hopefully the byproduct.
Yeah.
But let's go back to C, and I want to just say this to make it clear to the listeners. One of the reasons we moved you to this position was we needed a pastor to shepherd in specific areas of A to F. So we needed a pastor over B, which was beginning at Broadway. There needed to be some oversight there because we've got a lot of wonderful lay people that help with that, but it's a lot of work. And I don't know if you want to speak to that because you're now getting into it, but it's calling people.
Yeah,
people don't realize.
Yeah, so I had a prospect list from all the people who have visited, who we've gotten their information from January of this year till now. And so I spent a good part of a day, calling every single person on that list, leaving voicemails, sending emails, having conversations with people, and just saying, hey, we want to follow up, like, where are you at, invite you to this new, beginning at Broadway classes starting. Some of them had gone through some of the classes, some had not been to the beginning at Broadway class, so I'm trying to move them from A, to B, and just see where they're at. And so, that's a process to kind of find out where people are.
So we wanted to bring you on as associate. If people say, what's associate pastor of connections? Well, we wanted to get you into the B, but we also wanted to move you over C, there needs to be a pastor over Sunday school because you have all these teachers, and Sunday school is an interesting historical beast.
It is.
It was started in England to reach children during the Industrial Revolution. Arthur Flake wrote Flake's formula for Sunday school and basically had, I think, if I remember correctly, like 5 formulaic ways to do Sunday school. If you look at the history in Flake's formula, it is exactly opposite of what the church does today when it comes to Sunday school.
Yeah.
So my thing to the staff is I always ask you guys, if you had to define Sunday school with one of these words, is it winning people to Christ? Is the purpose of Sunday school building the body of Christ? Or is the purpose of Sunday school connecting people, right? Well, the poor answer that we often get from the body is all three. Ridiculous. Impossible. Not going to happen. You've already set yourself up for failure. The original purpose of Sunday school was evangelistic.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk to Steve Wilkes, who you don't know him, but he used to be a member here at Broadway, and he was a professor of evangelism and outreach at Mid-America Seminary for years and years and years, and he used to do Sunday school, classes and teaching on it, and Flake's formula. He'd bring in Noah Wright, who was a brother in Christ who had Right Track Ministries, and they'd come in and teach us all about Sunday school. That's where I got all my information from. So the thing is, though, nobody's doing Sunday school the way it was designed to be. It's designed to be a back door to the church evangelistically. And there's all these things you're supposed to be doing that nobody does anymore. So, the uneducated person on that says, oh, yeah, it's all three. It's all three. No, it's not all three. You're not going to do all three. You're not going to do them well. You're probably not doing many of them well. Yeah. And then, of course, the member thinks, well, it's all about fellowship. Because you hear people, now that you're over Sunday school, people will text us or email us and say, I'm having a problem finding my class where I fit.
Yeah.
And so we're going, okay, well, here's what's offered. And they say, I don't like any of those.
Yeah.
No offense. I don't like any of those. I want to talk, or I don't want to talk. I want women and men, not just men. I want, women only, not, it's all this stuff. So there's this wide idea that it's my community. It's my, it's where I connect. But then there's this other group of people. They think, no, the main thing of Sunday school is teaching. All of that is good. None of that is bad. It's just, again, if you asked the question, now what is the purpose of Sunday school? Most people would give you 18 different answers.
Yeah.
And Sunday school was designed age graded. That's why when you look from elementary to college, it's age graded. But you've encountered, like, the teachers don't want to be age graded when they're adults.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think at almost every church, one class, I may have at one time been the cool. I think at my previous church, for instance, we literally had a class called the cool class.
And you were the teacher, weren't you?
I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I wasn't cool enough.
Timothy, you were the teacher, weren't you?
But
I knew it.
And so I think originally they were about 20-something when they started that class. But at this point, they were all in their 40s or 50s, and they had teenagers leaving the home, and they were in midlife, and they were called the cool class. And it was like, y'all just. It's the same group, but you're no longer cool, quote unquote.
Please insert the prefix "un" in front of your class name.
Uncool class. But you just see how people kind of form a group and they stay together, and then they just get old and they realize one day, oh, we're 85 and we're no longer the young.
We're no longer the young adults.
We're not the young adult class anymore.
And so a teacher has the hope in their heart, and this is a good thing. They want to reach everybody. I mean, I'm thankful, very thankful, that every teacher says this in their heart and says this to us. But logistically, it's just not helpful, because every teacher will say, well, we're no age. We love everybody. We want everybody to. Every teacher I've ever served at in a church has always said that. But the reality is no one else thinks that way. When a new person comes into the church, what's the first thing they ask us as pastors? Where's my age group?
Yeah.
Who's doing life the way I'm doing life? Who's raising the teenagers? Or if I have little kids, who's got the little kids? So for a class to be like the Joy class, which we don't have here, we had this at my last church, or the Cool class, or the Bereans, Well, what does that even mean to a visitor who goes, what? We had this class, we had the joy class, and they probably had no joy, to be truthful. They were not very joyful. They were often the little old ladies who stirred a lot of trouble. They wanted a piano in their classroom so they could do hymns before the lesson, and then they took up their own offering, which I think is completely unbiblical, and did what they wanted with their offering because they didn't want accountability, from the church. And they basically had their own church service, and they had to recognize birthdays. This was a big deal. This was part of the class, and anyone who went on vacation got to stand up for the first 10 minutes and describe, I went to Alaska and it was wonderful, and I thought about this class the entire time I was there. You think I'm making this stuff up? I'm not. So they were joyful about some things. I'm not sure it was always Christ. I'm not saying it wasn't Christ. Just, who knows? So you have these names, and it's like, what does that even mean to people? And again, you want to be able to reach people. So when new people are coming into the church and they go, I don't know what a Berean is, and I don't know what a Berean class is. Can you please direct me to my age group? That's the truth, right? Would you like to go to the cool class? Well, I've never been considered cool.
Yeah.
How about the philosopher's class? Oh, yes, right this way. We have one for you.
Yeah, no, for sure. So there is, whether we like it or not, Sunday school has kind of been age graded to some degree. And so people, for the benefit of guests and visitors, it's kind of helpful to show them, hey, here's a group of people that are similar to your age group that can do life with you. But to improve Sunday school, so I don't know if we're ready to jump to the next part.
So let's talk about it. So we're on the C.
Yes.
So you're over C, and
yes.
these are things you're trying to just help and
yes.
encourage and minister to. So, yeah.
So Sunday school has its pros and cons, but we want to introduce another opportunity, right, called home groups. And so the purpose is just like, so I don't think we ever nailed down for our church. We think Sunday school is to connect, right? It doesn't mean it's not building you at all, or that we can't invite, unchurched people to Sunday school or something like that. But the primary purpose for Sunday school here is to connect people. And so we want to help them connect. And so in addition to Sunday school, home groups is another opportunity that's different from Sunday school, but it has the same purpose of connecting people. And so I just kind of made a chart in my mind, like, okay, how is Sunday school different?
And we want to make clear, we're not trying to compete or replace Sunday school.
Right.
We love Sunday
yes.
school. Our intention is to keep it.
Yes.
Our intention is to continue to expand it.
Absolutely.
So, just very quickly, for the new year, you have been working on, and I know we're not ready to announce all this, but just briefly, you're working on adding classes for adults.
Yes, there's 2 classes I'm wanting to add, and one I have a teacher lined up for. The other one I'm still waiting, because as we grow as a church, as there's new members, right, there's more needs. And so one of the classes, is a 20s class. So we have kind of a college class, and then we have like a young professionals class, which tend to be 30-year-olds with kids. Well, there's a humongous gap in your life if you remember back to those days when you are a college student versus when you graduated college versus you're married with children. That is a huge difference in life stages. And so if you're a young married couple who's, young 20-somethings, you're kind of like, well, I'm not in college anymore, but we also don't have like 3 young kids running around our house yet. There's kind of a gap in our Sunday school classes currently. And so we're going to have William Whittington teach a 20-somethings class. And so I think that'll be a huge benefit and a blessing to many of our 20-somethings. And then for future 20-somethings who come, they'll kind of have a place that they can feel like they belong and they can connect. And
we already have a pretty good group of these people, but they're either still in college or they're going to the 30s or they feel like they don't really have a place. So that's one example of how we're going to expand Sunday school. We have other classes that we're working on. The point is, we're for Sunday school. We want it to be a place of C, right? Covenant, community, connecting people. And we feel like we have great Sunday school teachers, so we want to add that. They work very hard, and we're very thankful. But in addition to Sunday school, we want to just create another C avenue. And why would we want to create home groups when we have Sunday school? And that just opens up a host of questions like, now do you expect me to go to both? And, am I supposed to do all this stuff? And those are very good questions. If you're asking them, we're going to answer them. But why don't you go over your chart? Because you did a lot of work just distinguishing what would make this different from Sunday school, because we're assuming a couple of things about Sunday school. A, it's age graded. You can't get away from that. You can try, but that's like me trying to say the thing you call a Q-tip, which is technically that's the brand name. Q-tip is a brand, but everybody doesn't call it an ear swab. They call it a Q-tip.
That's right.
That's like saying you're going to try to change that. Well, good luck with that. Okay, the vernacular is it's a Q-tip, but the reality is, it's going to be age graded. It's just the way it falls into play. So we have that, and we believe it's age graded, but we also believe that it's a good avenue on Sunday morning to connect people. But there's a lot of things that Sunday school can't do.
That's right. Just
by nature. There's a lot of they're very big classes. They don't always meet outside of the Sunday school hour because of constraints and just a lot of things that people are busy. So go over the chart with us.
Yeah, so while the purpose is the same, connect people in a Christ-centered community, here's some of the differences. So Sunday school always meets in the church building, right? Home groups meet in homes. So that right there,
I had no
home
idea.
Groups, it's in the name. But right there is a huge difference, right? Just the feeling when you're in someone's home is a totally different feeling than being in a classroom in a church building. So that's a big difference. The time. So Sunday school meets on Sunday mornings, whereas home groups will meet Sunday afternoons following the service or Sunday evenings at 6. So that's a different time for people.
And you're going to offer that to the home group leaders.
Yes.
And they can choose, do they want to do 12
whatever works best
or do
for
they
them.
want to do 6?
Yeah, noon or 6 p.m.
Okay.
So then content. So Sunday schools classes are always going through the Bible, obviously, a book of the Bible or what have you. But the home groups, we're going to apply the sermon, right? So it's not another Bible study. It is, okay, we all went to the service this morning. We heard Pastor Mark preach on this text. Read the passage. Here's what the outline was. Now, how do we apply this sermon to our lives? I'm going to have 5 or 6 questions to help the home group leaders facilitate applicational discussion. How do we live this out? So we're not, again, this is not Sunday School 2.0, read the, no, this is applying the sermon. So it's very different content.
So lots of discussion.
Yes, so discussion-based, where everyone's invited to participate, and it's about application, right? It's not just another Bible study. An organization, so again, as you've mentioned, Sunday school tends to be very age-graded, so you get to know people of your own age, but you don't get to know any of the older people or younger people than you or people in different life stages, where home groups is going to be very intentional to be multi-generational. So I'm going to tell the leaders to, invite people who are older than you, people the same age as you, people younger than you, maybe someone, who's single, whatever age. We want this to be a well-mixed group from our body, where you might not have gotten to build a relationship with that person because they wouldn't have been in your Sunday school class. You now can get to know them through home groups.
And men and women.
And men and women.
Get to know
and families. So it's not just like our D groups are, gender separated. Well, a home group is your entire family gets to get to know other entire families. So you and your spouse get to know another couple. You and your children get to know another family and their children. So it's the whole family gets to participate in this. It's not just, Sunday school is you're separated from your kids. You're not going to Sunday school with your kid. Well, you go to home group with your entire family. So that's a big difference. And then duration. So Sunday school is pretty much every Sunday year-round, unless, we had occasionally, Christmas Day. I think we canceled Sunday school last year because it was on Christmas Day, but we still had worship service. Well, home groups is going to be a limited time. So for 10 consecutive weeks, minus the Easter Sunday evening, from February, I believe it's February 18th to April 28th is when we're going to have our spring semester of home groups. And so from that time, for 10 consecutive weeks, we'll meet. But this isn't going to be like for the next 5 years, you'll be meeting in this house and with these people. It's, nope, for 10 weeks, you'll meet these people. And then we're going to break for the summer, and then we'll do another semester, hopefully, Lord willing. But it'll be different homes, different people, different.
You will re-sign up.
Yes, you'll re-sign up.
Yes.
There will not be the same group. Will not meet again.
And if if the home that you were at does it again, and you say, I really like that, I want to sign up to that one, well, okay. But the point of this, I mean, somebody might say, well, 10 weeks. Well, if you're opening your home, it's a lot of work.
It is.
So we want to be considerate of the people opening their home.
Yep.
Secondly, it's adding something to the calendar. We want to be considerate. But also, we want to be very careful not to create cliques.
That's right.
Now, let me say a historical word here, and I'll offend people. I'm sure I've already offended them already. But let's just mark another offense here, okay? So keep it on your list that you're making. But Broadway historically had something called care groups. So you're going to meet in this group of people, and when you're in the hospital, the care group will care for you. When you're sick, the care group will care for you. When you need counseling, the care group will care for you. Okay, great idea. Problem, there was no ending in sight. So in my inaccurate, humble estimation, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you might get offended, these groups started existing for 20-something years. Well, that's a clique. I mean, you can say, no. But I'm telling you, I have a line of people outside my door who have told me over the last 3 years how hurt and offended they were when they would try to get into these groups. I mean, I've had a line of people. I had new members that said, we're not starting that again, are we? And I said, why? And they said, because it was horrible if you were on the outside of it. Now, again, not to be offensive to anybody, I'm sure everybody's home group shared the gospel. I'm sure everybody's home group witnessed and memorized the entire Bible and loved everybody on planet Earth. But the reality for some people in the church was, if I showed up, nobody talked to me at these groups. If I tried to get in, nobody wanted me in this group. There was nowhere to get in the group. These people had been together 20-something years. I mean, this one person tells me the story, and all I can do is listen to their story, is that they showed up to go to a home group, and literally no one in the home group said a word to them the entire night. In the house, we're not talking like 50 people. Now, is that true? I don't know. But one thing I do know, I'm called to shepherd, and I want to shepherd the flock, and I want to help the flock. So one of the things we intentionally planned in this whole process, we're not going to be cliques. So how are we going to break any cliques from forming? Well, we're going to keep it limited, right? We're going to make people sign up every year for a new group.
Yep.
And if you do a group this year, it doesn't mean you're going to do a group next year. So it's going to intentionally be built in to move and be fluid. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, and we want to do signups, based more on proximity. So it's not a popularity contest. It's if you want to do home groups, sign up, and based on where you live, we're going to kind of put you in one that is close to where you live, right? We want to be intentional to get to know people near where you live, and again, mix it up, get to know other people in the church. This is not to create many churches within the church and divide the church or create cliques or cells. We just want to give you an opportunity to connect. And so, I agree. We don't want to do that. The negative parts of that, again, so we want to avoid that.
And I'm sure there were positive things.
Yeah.
I've heard from people, they said, my care group is what got me through the death of my husband. And so I know that care groups ministered to people. I'm not saying they didn't.
Yeah.
Somebody listening to this will be like, I'm so offended. You just don't know how much my care group ministered to me. Okay, I don't doubt that. But the point is, when you look at the whole church, we're not just talking about you and your group. We're talking about what's best for the body. The body, there were a lot of people who felt alienated. And that, brothers and sisters, that just can't be.
Yeah. No, for sure. We got to think of the whole church, and we definitely don't want to become, where you can't let new people come and feel welcome. So that takes a high priority as well. Where this, if there's new there's always an opportunity to jump in, and it's always fresh. You can get to know more people. So instead of, having your same clique for 20 years that you may go real deep with, well, this helps you get to know more of the body. So maybe next semester you're in a totally different group. You get to know other people you never met before. And so there's also positives to that as well.
So home groups.
Home groups.
Coming to a house near you.
Yes.
Now, let's move on to the next thing. So we talked about where we are, and we talked about what we're doing.
Yes.
We're going to do these home groups. They're not care groups.
That's right.
They're different from care groups, and they're different from Sunday school, but they will fall under the letter C.
Yes.
Which is covenant community. So it's another avenue. Let's talk thirdly, how will this be displayed to the body? So somebody listening to this might say, wow, y'all are starting something else, and how much do you want me to do? So let's go through the list, right? You become a member, and then we get you in a Sunday school class, which we love and support, and then we want you to get in a D group. If you're interested, this is small group discipleship on a small level, gender appropriate, and then there's these E groups that you're talking about starting on Wednesday nights in the next year. So I'm going to go to an E group, which we're kind of like, well, you'd already be here anyway. So, the E group is just something to
Wednesday
solidify your faith. Yeah. But they say, but these other C groups, these home groups, I don't know. I don't want to go to Sunday school, worship, and then a home group. But really, I mean, again, if you think about it, it's like a Sunday night. It's just not up here. It could be anywhere. It could be in a home. Some people have said, I think I'd like to do it like right after church. I'm going to eat anyway, and it's just a better time for my kids. We can put them down for a nap when we're done, and then we've got the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And then other people have said, it's not going to work. We want to get together at 6 o'clock and do it. So we're not asking all the people to be involved in all the things.
Yeah, no, we're not, we don't expect everyone to be doing every single thing. Being in a Sunday school class, being in a home group, being in a discipleship group, being in an equip group. We're just saying, here's all your offerings, right? What works best for where you're at right now. So we're not saying you have to at every moment be in a D group every single time. Maybe you're in a D group, maybe you take a break for a year, maybe you do a home group with your spouse, because you're like, I know I've heard from several people who serve during Sunday school, who can't go to a Sunday school class. Or maybe your spouse goes to one of the Sunday school classes for the multigenerational women or men's class. Well, you're not in Sunday school with your spouse. So now home groups provides you an opportunity to connect with your spouse, with another spouse. And so there's definitely things that home group offers that Sunday school can't. And so it's just another opportunity. We're not saying everyone has got to do everything, but we just want to have opportunities that are intentional, that, that what works for you may not work for someone else. And so, again, those who faithfully serve in the nursery or during the Sunday school hour, well, they don't get to enjoy community with people their age. They're, wiping noses and, picking up toys. So, home groups, that allows them to have some community where they're not getting any with people their age. So, yeah, we're not saying everyone has to do everything. But again, equip groups are on Wednesday nights, which is typically people are here on a Wednesday night. Home groups will be on a Sunday night. Well, it's just not unheard of for churches used to have Sunday night services all the time. So really, we're not going really above and beyond what was the norm maybe a few years ago.
So this is just another avenue, and people have to evaluate. Okay, what avenues do I need to pursue?
That's right.
The most important thing is that you are A to F. So, we want you to move along that spectrum and make it to fruitfulness. So we're trying to provide opportunities for you, the member, to do that.
Yep.
We're also trying to make the process simple and identifiable so that anybody new who comes into the church, all of us can easily explain A to F.
Yeah, and I mean, there is a sense where if you don't feel connected to the body, well, you're probably not, in a D group and doing life with them or being equipped. So it's there is a community has that, I guess I said priority, where you're connected. Okay, now you're connected. You feel like you know some people in the church. Well, now why don't you go deeper and be held accountable? And so maybe you make sure you have C taken care of first. Once you have community, then go to D, and maybe, hey, I'm going to try a discipleship group this year and go deeper. Once you feel like you're going deep in your faith, well, maybe I need to be equipped to go serve and do something. And so there is a logical progression where if you don't feel connected, you're probably not going to go to this equip class and learn how to disciple if you've never been discipled yourself and you haven't been part of a Sunday school class, right? Mm-hmm. So there is make sure you're connected first, and you have C. So there is a kind of a progression that I think people can go through where, you shouldn't just be jumping into equipping classes if you haven't even been to a Sunday school class and you've never been discipled. You're probably not going to go counsel people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there is that. Just follow along the A to F. But the end goal is fruitfulness, not do every single letter all the time, right? That's not the goal. Is just bear fruit, to be a mature disciple.
Because we all have spiritual gifts.
That's right.
And we want you to use your gift, whatever that
That's
is,
right.
in whatever way.
Yes. And the gift is not do every single task in the church possible. It's what are you good at? What is the Spirit given you? And do that faithfully as He leads you.
And, very generally speaking, don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together.
That's right.
That's also in there, but that's
Yes.
implied in the whole thing. I mean, these are ways you can assemble together.
That's right.
Ways that you should. We get a lot of people, so we've seen a lot of new people come in. We're so thankful for that. But the struggle with a lot of the new people has been connection.
Yes, it has.
I mean, if we're being honest, and Broadway's very friendly. And we'll say hello to people and shake their hands and encourage them to come to the beginning at Broadway. But again, this is another reason why we've said we need a minister of connections, because once they go through all that, and we've kind of pumped up the church, and said, look how great everything is. I mean, we're not lying. We're not embellishing anything. We're not doing the wrong business principle. The best business principle I ever heard was promise low and
over-deliver.
Over-deliver, and then they're happy. And so, we certainly don't want to promise big. We try to be very honest, but people get excited by the preaching. They say, I love the preaching. I love the music. I love that everybody here is friendly. I love the direction that you guys are going with your vision. And then they get into the C and they go, where do I fit?
Yeah.
And that's just the truth.
Yeah.
Not one person. We've seen that pretty substantial.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, it's kind of where the rubber meets the road. It's one thing to, greet someone one Sunday. It's another thing for them to find meaningful relationships and friendships in a class where they, feel like they fit and belong. And, I know all of our classes are welcoming and friendly, but again, there are some holes where, we can add some more Sunday school classes, and of course, why we're doing home groups is, hey, we need to provide another opportunity to just help people connect. So.
Yeah, because it becomes this never-ending, almost, it becomes absurd. People are like, well, do you have a class for, middle-aged men who have cybertronic eyeballs? That's what I'm looking for. And it's like, no, sorry, we don't have that. I mean, you can't create... specify. Everybody wants something specific about these classes, and it's like, look, this is what we have, but we are going to try to create avenues where you will connect, because not every Sunday school class is very connecting.
That's true.
I mean, some are very teaching based, so you go in and you listen, and we have what, probably half of our Sunday school we've estimated is very teaching centered, so there's not a lot of discussion, there's not a lot of relation. You go, you sit. Well, for these new people, that's not enough for them.
Yeah, they don't get a chance to really, they might learn one person's name, but they're not really having conversation. So home groups, again, would help a lot of that happen. You're sharing a meal together. That's a totally different environment and experience than just kind of a, hey, quick hello, hey, we're new here. All right, sit down and we're going to, dig into this book of the Bible, which it's great. But again, home groups is offering something that I think we're missing right now as a church by not having home groups.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about this probably about 2 years ago before you came, and I was just struggling, relationally as a 40-something-year-old man in the church. I just didn't feel like I had a lot of relationships with people my age. I knew people, but that's about as far as it went. And in our Texas church, we were very connected. I mean, there was just... and evidence of that is they still, just this past week, two different families came to visit us, and that's been 3 years ago, and so there was a connection, a life connection with people of various ages, and I couldn't understand what is different here. There's something that's not connecting on all four cylinders, and my wife said, it's home groups. When we were in those groups, we knew people, we loved people. We were in their homes. They were in our home. We connected. It suddenly hit me because I thought, Amanda, you have a lot of friends with who you teach with, but they're not my friends. And then you have a lot of lady friends, but they're not my friends. I don't hang with them. And then, it was just this connection thing. And I thought, well, why? And how did we get that there? And it wasn't that people were better there or anything like that. It's just, it was a different design. And it hit me. And I thought, you know what? We need to do that. So I'm really excited because I want to be in a group and I want to connect with people and I want it to be intergenerational.
Absolutely. And I mean, selfishly thinking of us pastors, again, Sunday is, kind of a work day, and we're, teaching the beginning of Broadway class and preparing to preach and, preparing music to lead the church in worship. So even us, there's not a lot of things Lauren and I get to do together or get to know other people together. We're busy ministering during a lot of the church hours. So again, even for us pastors and our families to go as a family to someone's house and just get to know other people sounds amazing. That's just something that we don't get to do often. So I don't, go to a Sunday school class, and so it's nice to be part of that kind of community myself and just be a participant. I think there is a place for, age-graded Sunday school classes when you're a visitor and you're trying to find a place to, belong to people your own life age stage. But again, the church is a body of all ages, and so I think home groups reminds us that we should be developing relationships with older people, younger people, singles, marrieds, their kids. They're made in the image of God. They're people too. And so again, I think home groups kind of reminds us that it's not all about just being segregated in our age groups and our how old are you. It's no, we're the body of Christ.
How will children fit into this? Because I know also a contention about about care groups. When I first met with the staff that I inherited, I was trying to understand, what do you do here? Like, not just you, but like, what does the church do on Wednesday night? What does the church do on Sunday? I didn't know. So I asked them, we went on a retreat together, and I just asked them, okay, everybody tell me, like, let's go over the schedule. What do we do? And we got to Sunday nights, care groups. And I look at the staff and I say, okay, what did that look like? How was that designed? And they all said, we have no idea. I said, what do you mean you have no idea? And they said, we don't know. We've never been to a care group. I said, what? And they said, we've never been to a care group. And I said, none of you. I mean, I'm going around the table. You, no. Well, what were you doing? And they said, well, it was our job to come up here and keep the kids. So we had to be up here. Everybody dropped their kids off. None of us ever went to care group. So no one on staff had a clue what was going on in these care groups. So I thought, okay, well, that's obviously something that's a problem as well. We have no clue how these operate. So, okay. So I said, I tell you what, it's COVID. We're going to use that to our advantage.
Yep. Pull the plug.
Pull the plug. I'm going to pull the plug on that one. We're going to restart in a few years. Trust the Lord. So I just thought that was funny. So what are you going to do with kids? Let me guess. We're all going to come up here, the pastors, and we're going to keep all their kids.
Negative ghostwriter.
Okay.
I mean, so again, I'm going to, when people sign up, if they have children, I'm going to say, how many children, what ages, and kind of that'll come into play with what group you get placed in. But ideally, if they're grade school and older, they can participate. They can eat the meals together, with everybody else, and as they're able and capable, they can participate in discussion and the prayer time and whatnot. But if they're young kids, ideally, one of the adults might take a turn to kind of watch the kids and supervise them in another room, and just take turns so that it's not like one person, their only role in home groups is to go be the child minder over there, but that can be shared and people take turns.
And they're welcome to sit in.
Yeah, but they're welcome to
It's not going to be that long. It's going to be discussion. Could they sit and discuss?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean,
could they pray with you? Sure.
Yeah.
Would that be a good teaching moment?
Absolutely.
Yes. So another thing, and I don't know if you said this or not, but there's intentionality in the sign up. So you're not going to overload. You're actually going to try to control. If people want to be in home group, they come to home group. They say, I want to be in home group. And then we're going to put them
Yeah, so they sign up. Obviously this isn't all live yet, but there'll be on the app a sign-up sheet just saying, I want to do home groups, preferably this time. Here's me, my wife, and my kids and their ages. And then, I'll try to look up, where they live, and then where our home group leaders and what times match with where they're living at. And so you're not having to drive, 40 minutes away from your home, but, home group is just 10 minutes down the road or whatever, and they meet at the exact time that we can meet. And and then I'll, as the pastor of Connection, just kind of place people in their groups based on proximity and the time, and it'll be good.
Yeah, so houses won't be overloaded.
Yeah,
Children can
so
participate.
12, I think 12 people will be like the max, right? We're not wanting 30 people in your home overrunning you.
And just as for those who object, you've actually researched other churches in the area who have done this.
Yeah.
And this is what they're telling you they do.
Yeah.
So this is not some newfangled, well, why are y'all doing that? Let us do what we want.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually what Get Well is doing. This is what some other churches that you talked to, I know you talked to Longview Point, and a lot of them are saying this is kind of some things that we would tell you in what we're doing. So you've done a lot of research. Yeah. We've tried to do the best of our ability to steal, which is very biblical. No, they told us, use what you need to use or do what you need to do, and we've done it our own way. But in addition to that, let me say this: you're training the leaders.
Yes.
So if somebody says, "Oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to do a home group," that's not how that works. So one of the things I like to say, and I've used this phrase with you guys through the whole planning process, is we're going to franchise. Home groups are a franchise. So one of my favorite movies is The Founder, the story of Ray Kroc. And there's a scene where he gets some of his golfing buddies to buy into McDonald's. And they don't do anything that they're supposed to do. And so he shows up at one of these McDonald's, and they're selling fried chicken, and, they're doing all these crazy things. And he's like, no, you can't do that. And they're like, well, why not, Ray? We did this to make an investment. And he's like, we are McDonald's. It's the same thing. If you go to California or you go to New York, you're going to get the same menu, which is the idea of franchising. So what we've said is, no, nobody's doing their own thing. If you do, you're not our home group, right? You can do whatever you want on your time, in your way. But if you come to us and you say, I want to be a leader, then you got to be trained in the franchise.
Yep.
So the old adage is that McDonald's would rather have a farmer than a businessman, because the farmer's not going to question the policies and the procedures. Just do what we've mapped out to do. So we're kind of like, look, we thought this through. We don't have every answer, but we've got a lot. And we believe that this is what's going to be best for the group. So just talk about the training that you're going to provide to our franchisees.
Yeah, so throughout the month of November, I'm going to have 4 Sunday nights in my home with the leaders, the home group leaders, and then the first 4 weeks. And so the first week, we're just going to go over the vision, everything we've basically been discussing in this podcast in more depth and detail, and with questions and answers, discuss why home groups, what's the purpose of home groups, what's it going to look like, why are we doing this, what's the franchise, what's the the outline here. Then the second week, I'm going to talk about how do we facilitate discussion in small groups, and how do we what are the questions that we're going to ask every week about the sermon, about how to apply it to our lives, so we can give a little card and, hey, each week this is what we're going to do. Here's the questions we're going to ask. And then the last 2 weeks, we're just going to do a home group, right? We're just going to go to church on Sunday, listen to the sermon, and then I'm going to model it for them, and they're going to participate for 2 weeks, so that they've been in a home group for 2 weeks. At Pastor Brady's house, we ate together, we had a meal, we applied Pastor Mark's sermon to our lives with these questions that we learned about, and then we prayed for each other. And so for 2 weeks, they'll see what it looks like and experience in my house home group, like, this is what we're going to do. Now go do that in your home with your group in the spring. And so that's what we're going to do.
And you're encouraging these home group leaders, and you already have several that you've contacted.
Several who have affirmed. So I'm about halfway through my list, and I'm still waiting to hear back from several other ones.
And we've tried to pick people that are not teaching Sunday school, that are not doing every other thing.
Tried to avoid like deacons and Sunday school teachers and things like that as much as I could. But I mean, I still have some openings. So if someone's like, man, I just feel like I'm on board and, the Lord's convicting you that you want to lead a home group, reach out to me and maybe we can fit you in either this semester or maybe next time if I have, as many groups as I need. Reach out to me. But I've got several.
You'll do training again next summer. So if you want to go to a home group this time, say, let's see what it's about. And what I love about that too is if you commit to open your home, we're just asking 10 weeks. Yep. Clean your house for 10 weeks.
That's it. Yep.
And then you get a break after Easter and it's over with. Yep. And then we don't start back till September, and you do another 10 or 12 weeks. And then,
yep.
It's not overwhelming.
Yeah. And for food, for instance, like we're going to have, people sign up and take turns. So if you're hosting, they're not going to provide food for all the people every single time. And if you're part of one, just once or twice, you're going to provide the meal for everybody, right? That's not a huge ask. Just, hey, if you're in this group for 10 weeks, can 1 or 2 times you help bring the food, right? And so not every single week are you going to have to get food and bring it, potluck style. And if you're hosting, it's not every single night your job to feed every single person, right? So it's just kind of spread out the load and make it easy and manageable for everybody.
So a lot of the how is going to be answered and explained. Yes. So now what we just need is people to say, I want to do that. And I would love to be a part of a group like that. And you sign up, we'll try to match you as best as we can.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We're telling the leaders you can reach out to people.
Absolutely.
I mean, if they know somebody that's not very connected, you're encouraging them. Tell them you want to be that you want them to be a part.
Personally invite them.
Yeah, but what did you say you were going to tell them? Please don't do this. And you said you had a good answer for that.
I don't want this just to be everyone and their best friends. The purpose is to connect with people aren't connected to already with. And so I'm going to tell my leaders, think of a couple maybe older than you, maybe the same age as you, younger than you, and then maybe a single person, whatever age, and invite them to your group. So we have this generational group. And that's the purpose. It's not that it's a clique of everyone the same age you already know. That's not the purpose of this. It's to connect with people that you would not know in Sunday school, but then you can have a real connection with through home groups. So,
well, we hope and pray that this will be a valuable ministry in the life of the church, and that it will unite people together and help them to connect in the covenant community that God has put them in. So, Brady, thank you for all your work that you've put into this, all the training that you and Lauren are going to do. And that's a phenomenal feat, considering that you have 2 kids and one on the way, and the one on the way is triplets. You don't know that yet, but I'm a prophet. So anyway, there you go. So we're so thankful for you and what you're doing and how you're connecting the body together.
It's my pleasure.
That's Chick-fil-A, not McDonald's. Not McDonald's. McDonald's is, what do you want?
Yeah. That's Burger King.
That's Burger King. Have it your way. Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. So today's episode has been sponsored by the letter C, right? And in addition to the letter C, by obviously the McDonald's Corporation, Ray Kroc. Thank you, the McDonald's brothers, who were swindled out of their name and their livelihoods, and everything in between. And who else sponsored this podcast, Timothy? Well, on that note, we're out. Thanks for listening to Footnotes. And that's another episode of our podcast, Footnotes. We drop our podcast each Friday, so be sure to tune in, check us out, and listen. Footnotes is a ministry of Broadway Baptist Church located in South Haven, Mississippi. We're located right outside of the Metro Memphis area. You can learn more about us by visiting us online at broadwaychurch.org. Until next time, it's Footnotes.